as the nature boy would say. Welcome, everyone, to the Off Base Podcast, the podcast that is very, very carefully crafted to remind you to suck a fat one if you think you're the only one. Because you're probably not. I'm not the only one. I'm your host. I'm the Rocky Mountain no-name Jackass. And it is a grand total of 17 degrees here in the city of Aurora at 7:53 in the a.m. on Thursday, January 20th, 2022. Time for the chaw. There we go. My wife's least favorite part of the podcast. Ceremonial spit. All right. What are you doing? So, this podcast is also carefully crafted to just help you pass the time. That's really what I should say. But no, seriously though. If you haven't, figured out that you're not the only one going through all kinds of shit, I'm here to remind you. Hey, this fucker's gonna let me turn. Thank you, fucker. Off we go. We're currently off base. We're heading back on base, but it's gonna take a while to get there, you see. Because I drive the kiddies to school every morning. So myself, my stepson, and my son all have dentist appointments today. And I probably haven't been to the dentist in over a decade. So this is going to be interesting. Now, luckily for me, I have pretty straight teeth, but so I'm taking the afternoon off of work because, the dental office that we go to is right down the street over here. It's closer to my son's school, not closer to the older one's schools. But yeah, it's just like if I'm going to take the kids to school. I'm coming off base, and it's a half hour to get here, a half hour to get back. So it's kind of like, I just might as well take the afternoon off. There's no sense in beating around the bush. I'm going to be out of the office that whole time. So, what we got ourselves here is a failure to communicate. What movie? Yeah, you know it, you love it. Paul Newman, Cool Hand Luke. Where he eats the eggs and then lies there looking like Jesus when he's done. Praise Jesus. Yeah, so what the fuck else is going on today? Oh, I got horrible sleep. Well, one of the things that has been good about my sleep is that I'm not staying up late. I am going to bed at the same time every night. But like clockwork, man. I don't know. Maybe for like the last 6 months, I get up somewhere around between 2:30 and 3 o'clock. And it's like, why can't I just sleep through that particular time? I don't know why. But I did it again last night. Sometimes I'm able to fall back asleep, but I wasn't able to last night. Got up at like 2:30, and then was just laying there, and I was like, just fucking get up. I don't know if anybody else out there has that particular sleeping issue, but I do. See? God damn it. One thing I can't say about the current conditions here in central Colorado is that they are absolutely beautiful. At 17 degrees, everything is frosted over. Like the trees, which are normally green, they're all white. And it's very beautiful. But the only problem is it's fucking 17 degrees. Luckily, we have no... Oh, that's cool. Yeah, so I'm a little bit higher up right now. Going back onto base, I got to drive down into, I guess what you would call like a mini valley. But right now the valley is covered in fog, and there was a piece of land that was poking its head above the fog. It actually looks pretty cool. That is very, very cool. Wow. The sights you see, ladies and gentlemen, the sights you see. Well, there's a nice topic of conversation. Because all of a sudden things kept popping into my head. Sights that you see in different places that you live or visit. And one of them, almost immediately, that pops out in my mind is the Alyeska Ski Resort in Anchorage, Alaska. Now that's a beautiful sight. So to actually get to the ski resort, and I don't know if I talked about this on the podcast before, but I'll try to paint the visual image for you guys. It's a beautiful sight. As you're trying to get to the ski resort, you start driving along the Cook Inlet. The Cook Inlet, of course, is coming from the Pacific Ocean. It's coming in ground, or into land, I guess, which is why they call it an inlet. Oh, wow, it looks like an island out there. That is so cool. Very slick. Although I don't think it's it's the landfill. But it still looks very cool because it's just like poking its head above the fog. That is slick, man. Wow. I don't know, for some reason it reminds me of Alcatraz. It looks like there's an ocean out there, and then there's just like this little island. That's pretty slick. And if you haven't been to Alcatraz, I mean, it's like no big thing. It's kind of cool to go, but I mean, the best thing you can say about it is, oh yeah, I've been to Alcatraz. Alcatraz Island. My sister lives in San Francisco, and we've been a couple times, not just to see my sister. We were there for something else. I forgot what the hell else, but that's a cool town. We went down Lombard Street. That's right. Windiest street in the world, maybe? Definitely in the U.S. So anyway, back to Alyeska Ski Resort in Anchorage, Alaska. You start driving along the Cook Inlet, and then all of a sudden the roads start to narrow, because what starts creeping up on both sides of the inlet are the Rocky Mountains up in Alaska. I think it's the Aleutian mountain range when you get up there. And you get to a point where the mountains start to get so steep on you, you look out your window and it just goes boom, just goes straight up like a wall for about 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 feet. And it's absolutely breathtaking, because you got the water on your right hand side and a wall of mountains over there, and then you're on the road and next to the Cook Inlet, and a wall of mountains on your left, and you're just driving along this wall. And the sights that you see, you've got these beautiful natural spring waterfalls coming out of there. You might see some wildlife. Oftentimes we would see rams that were hanging out in the mountain areas there. And then when you actually get to the ski resort and you get up to the very top of the mountain, it's not a very, very tall mountain at all. It's not like over here in Colorado where you're up 12, 13, 14, 15,000 feet. I'm pretty sure that the height of the Alyeska Mountain might have topped 5,000 feet. So it's only about a mile up. But what's so cool is you get off the lift and you're basically dropped off at the bottom of an enormous white teacup. And of course it's called a bowl. I forget what the name of the bowl is. But you feel like you're like a little drop of tea in the bottom of a cup. And then you get off the lift, you ski around, you take that in, then you turn around to go down the mountain, and you see that exact same view that I was just describing to get you to the ski resort, which is the mountains on both sides and the Cook Inlet. And you're standing up at the top of the mountain, and you get the reverse view of it. And it is pretty breathtaking. It does take your breath away. So that was one natural phenomenon that popped into my head. Another one was Niagara Falls. And I grew up in Erie, Pennsylvania, and we went to the falls a couple times when I was a kid. It's only like a 2.5-hour drive from where I grew up. But when we went to see my father for his 80th birthday last June, my wife couldn't go. I forget what my stepson was doing. Oh yeah, he was in Texas visiting a friend of his. But my stepdaughter and my son came with me, and we did one day. We went up to the falls, and it was an absolute blast. And we did it in the middle of summer. It was in the middle of June, so the water wasn't that cold, and we could wear shorts and whatnot. Sometimes you go up there and you get on the Maid of the Mist, and it's cold, and that water hits you, and you're like, holy fuck, and you start shaking, freezing so bad. But I was sending my wife videos as we were there, and she just kept saying the whole time about how she was jealous because she wanted to be there with us, and I certainly wanted her to be there with us. It's a fantastic sight, the falls. So hopefully she'll get a chance. I'll get a chance to take her there at some point in the summertime. You got to go in the summertime. You don't want to go in the winter. It's fucking freezing, and you got to go on the Maid of the Mist. It's just so cool to come up that close to the falls. Hell of a sight. I think it's the place where Lake Ontario empties into Lake Erie, I think, or vice versa. One of the two. I can't remember. I could be wrong on that. Remember, I am a no-name jackass. To get off the natural wonders for a second, last night I saw a really great recipe online, and when I say great, I just mean it looked really simple to put together, and it was. It was for a cauliflower pizza crust, and the one I made yesterday, it calls for 2 cups of like mashed up, not really mashed up, just ground up cauliflower, so that it's almost like rice, the texture of rice. 2 cups of mozzarella cheese and 2 eggs, and you mix it together, spread it out onto parchment paper, onto some type of cookie sheet, and then bake it in the oven. Well, we're a little bit higher up. I had to bake it longer than what the recipe called for, because cooking times do differ when you live in Colorado or some of the other places that have some nice elevation there. So the crust came out, and it had it had started to brown, which is good because it's got the cheese in there, and mozzarella cheese in it, as well as the eggs, which will cause it to start browning. And I guess the cauliflower starts to brown a little bit too. But that's what you want. You want a nice, not like cement hard crust, but you want a hard crust. So when it came out of the oven, I tested it, and I was like, all right, this feels pretty good. And, I topped it, put the sauce on, and we did a margarita pizza. So it was tomato, basil, mozzarella. Put it in, let the cheese melt a little bit, pull it out, cut it up, and then eat that shit. The only problem was, and this was the first time I did the recipe, was that the crust on the outside was okay, but on the inside it was still soft. So one of the two things has to happen the next time I make it. Either I push it down a little bit further to make the crust thinner, or I just keep it in the oven longer to cook the crust and make sure it's good to go. But it was certainly did not lack in flavor at all. And cauliflower is so funny on a pizza. Like growing up, I mean, you guys, if you're approximately my age, like plus or minus 10 years, you probably had parents who made cauliflower all the time and forced you to eat it as a kid because it's a vegetable and it's good for you. None of us in my family, my sister and my older brothers, we couldn't stand the smell of cauliflower growing up. So that was always my worry when I first started eating cauliflower pizza. I'm like, oh God, this is gonna be fucking disgusting. Turns out that it's not. I don't know if it's because our palates change as we get older, and we're able to not just tolerate but enjoy different flavors. But I love cauliflower pizza nowadays, and because it is so lacking in carbohydrates, it's perfect for the ketogenic diet on which I am currently feasting. Speaking of which, I'm starting to get a little hungry. When I get home, Oh, the fog's. I came down in the valley. Fog's coming up again. When I get home, I'll enjoy myself probably about 4 eggs and some keto coffee. Which still, I mean, doing this diet amazes me. Like, I was watching a couple of videos yesterday from a guy who is a big proponent of it. His name's Dr. Eric Berg, and he was a chiropractor, but he doesn't do that anymore. He just focuses on nutrition and helping people get their weight down, and he's just eating healthy. And he's got a great motto. He says, "You don't lose weight to get healthy; you get healthy to lose weight." So if you people who are just starting out or wanting to lose weight, that shouldn't be your goal. Your goal should be to get healthy, and then you'll see the weight come off. Now, in my case, I'm actually trying to put on muscle. That's my goal. But if I were to think about it, and I guess this is just hitting me right now, if I were to think about it from Eric Berg's perspective, my goal should be to get healthy, and the result of that being to put on muscle. And I think that's where I'm at, because I'm trying to sleep better, I'm trying to eat better, and I'm exercising. I shouldn't say eat better, I should say eat appropriately for the results. So anyway, tonight, I'm doing the chili. It's going to be every other Thursday when I do the chili. And so we've got the dentist that we're going to. The appointment's at noon here, Colorado time. It's 8 o'clock right now. So I'm actually going to stop work at 11 and go and get Taco Bell for the boys and then pick the boys up. I go in first. My appointment's for about an hour, and then the boys are going to be after me. So I got to make sure that I actually start the chili this morning before my day is done, so that it's ready when we come back. And my chili recipe, in case you're interested and you'd like to try it for yourself, what I will do is I will take red pepper, 1 or 2 of them, and I will take poblano peppers, 2 or 3 of them, and roast them so that the skins get all black. Take them out, throw them in a plastic bag for anywhere 15 minutes and over. And while that's going on, I am browning the meat. I'm throwing in the onions. I'm throwing in the garlic. And then after all that after the onions have softened and the meat has browned, you throw in your chili spices. So you throw in chili powder. You throw in cumin, oregano, as I think the Brits say, and also some coriander. But chili powder is your main one, obviously, because it's fucking chili. And then, stir that around. Throw in a bottle of beer. Just any lager will do. Throw in, I think it's 2 cups of beef broth, and then a can of tomatoes. Or you can do tomato sauce. Sometimes I like to do the whole peeled potatoes so that you get a nice chunk of tomato. So you get a nice chunk of tomato, when you go to actually eat the chili. And then while that starts coming to a simmer, I peel the skins off of the peppers, chop them up, throw those in, and then just let that cook for, I don't know, anywhere between an hour and 2 hours, covered. And then you take the cover off, let everything thicken up as you throw in the beans, kidney beans, 1 can of kidney beans, 1 can of pinto beans. And then as it starts to thicken up, then you throw in some masa harina, 3 tablespoons of masa harina. And all it is it's a corn flour that helps to thicken up the chili. And then you go to eat it with some Tostitos scoops. You can throw some diced jalapenos on there, diced tomatoes, diced green onions, some sour cream. And I know that was an extremely long description, so if you're driving, I don't think there's any way you're going to remember that. But if you're at a desk, or if you're home, you want to write it down, hey, feel free, take my recipe. I'm okay with that. It's my 3 chili. Oh, I forgot. While the onion is cooking down with the ground beef, I also throw in 1 diced jalapeno. And because the boys eat the chili as well, I will typically seed 1/2 of the jalapeno, and the other half I leave seeded, and then chop it all up and throw that in, just to give it just a tiny bit of heat. If I wanted more heat, I'd do the full jalapeno, but the boys, I've done that in the past, and the boys can't handle it. So I only do half a jalapeno. Oh my God, my stomach is starting to grumble. So here we are. The line's kind of short. Thank you for listening to that ramble, if you stuck with me on that one. My long-ass description of my chili recipe. But it's a good chili recipe, so I invite you to try it. Anyway, here we are. We're coming back on base. The fog of this morning is now being lifted as the sun burns the moisture away. And I'm about to get scanned, people. Here we go.
Hi.
Good morning.
All right, perfect. Video. Have a great day.
Thank you. Look at that. She said I'm perfect. I think she likes me. Just kidding. All right. Gonna be looking for that view of Denver in the foreground and the Rocky Mountains in the background. Not necessarily a natural wonder compared to the ones that I was describing before, because obviously downtown Denver is man-made. But it's still a hell of a view. If you got some views like that around where you live, maybe you take a little ride out. Well, you probably can't see them this time of year. It's probably going to be too dark, but maybe you go over the weekend. Yeah, there you go. Go over the weekend, take in the sights around the place where you live, and enjoy the shit out of it. Because sometimes when you're enjoying it a lot, it gets tattooed in your memory, and you can use that as something to make you feel good about yourself. That's what Alyeska did for me when I was describing it earlier, man. I look forward to the day when we can actually return to Alaska. And if you go, I'd go in the winter so that we can go up there and ski, man. Beautiful, beautiful area. All right, that'll wrap it up for today, everybody. Have a great Thursday, and I'll smell you tomorrow.